David Stanley, thank you so much for joining me. So, the Music Man is a name that I have seen floating around Southend for many years now. And I just want to point out before we start, it obviously started with one student, which we'll come back to. And since then, you've done London Palladium, Britain's Got Talent, your world record holders, National Lottery TV advert. You've performed across a multitude of TV channels and countries and counties across UK and all over the world. You've done Downing Street, you've released
Yeah.
albums, Royal Albert Hall, performed for royalty. Is there anything you haven't done?
Gosh, you've done your research. That's excellent.
Well, that's quite a CV for the charity, right there.
It's great. Yeah. No, I think that's it. We've done the Royal College of Music as well, the Royal College of Psychiatrists. Yeah, performed all over the country and around the world. It's been a real roller coaster. So yes, it's been fantastic to be involved with, really.
And it's just such an incredible cause as well, and everyone that you work with. So, just for people who don't know, what is the Music Man and what do you do?
Yeah, so the Music Man Project is a full-time music educational and performance service for people with learning disabilities, so children and adults. Something that I started, gosh, 27 years ago now. And it's not music therapy. It's very important for me to make that distinction. I'm a music teacher and a musician, and I just always wanted to teach people with learning disabilities how to enjoy music, how to perform music, and to become respected musicians in their community because I felt that was really important. And if you imagine that when we all watch the Paralympics, we're not watching people have their physical therapy, we're watching people compete and we're inspired by them and their prowess, their athleticism. And so I kind of didn't see the same going on in the world of music, particularly for people with learning disabilities. And what I discovered very quickly is that they are capable of performing incredible shows with humor, with real joy, with emotion to thousands of people. It's an equality drive for me. I campaign for opportunities for people with disabilities to access the arts. But it's just, I have the best job in the world because I get to write the music for them. I get to perform with them in these amazing places, and I get to see the faces on their faces, their parents and the audience who just can't believe what they're seeing and hearing. And yeah, as you said, the things that we've done over the past few years, it's just been extraordinary.
First of all, it is incredible everything that you have done and what you've achieved, but I think this is a real reminder that music really is a universal language. And I am a firm believer in the fact that music has such a power to connect people and bring together.
You're absolutely right, and that's really that lies at the heart of what we do, particularly when we collaborate with other people. One of the best examples of that is that we regularly perform with His Majesty's Band of the Royal Marines, and that is the elite musicians of the military, known throughout the world. If you're a Royal Marines bands person, and yet we come together and we perform concerts. We went on tour together. We released a top 10 single that got the top 10 in iTunes a couple of years ago with them. We performed with them in San Diego. We performed with the RAF in Canada. So these amazing musicians, when they are performing alongside people with learning disabilities, there's no them and us. There's no better or worse. It's just people performing music together. And you're right, they literally talk with the universal language of music, and it's the great leveler. And another example, of course, is our patron Michael Ball, who we performed with at the Royal Albert Hall. One of the greatest musical theatre stars, a bit of a treasure of the country.
Absolutely.
And he performed with our students, and he was nervous, he was inspired by them, and we put on a show together. So yes, universal language. And it's not just with the students here in Southend, of course, because after meeting my first student and establishing the service in Southend, I then went on to share this for free around the country. And there are now 22 regional Music Man projects following my teaching approach and performing with us in big concerts. And that's all overseen by the national charity, the Music Man Project. So yeah, it's amazing how an idea can just grow and grow and grow. But it's the universal language of music, as you say, that's been at the heart of it from the beginning.
And it must be exceptionally rewarding for yourself. I mean, the fact that you've never taken a step back, if anything, you are the driving force and the heart and soul of this project. It must be so lovely for you to actually still be part of it and watching it grow and looking back at your legacy. Because it's obviously
Yeah.
not just yourself, because there was Sir David Amos as well, that was obviously a big part in this.
Oh, it is. I might be the Music Man project, and I might be the Music Man, and I started with that one student, and it's my music, and it's very much I'm the figurehead and the driving force. But there's no doubt it would not have got as big, as quickly, and as successful without the help of some incredible people. Whether it's my co-teachers, Jenny Pitkin down here in Southend, the other Music Man directors all around the country, the trustees, the people that do our accounts, the people that do the design work, and an incredible organization called Team Lewis, who are a global marketing company with offices all around the world that really help with the promotion side of it. And then our new president, Penny Mordaunt, fresh from holding the sword for the king, is a great supporter of the Music Man project. So, it is a team effort.
And of course, you have performed at Downing Street as well. You've got quite a lot of different connections in terms of the political world when you think about it. Obviously, there was the late Sir David Amos, who
Mm.
was an incredible driving force between so many different initiatives in Southend. And I believe he was the last president, wasn't he, before Penny
Yeah, the
Mordaunt?
last and the first. He was our first ever president. He was patron before that, and a dear friend of mine. I knew Sir David from when I was a teenager, as a young musician playing the piano in sort of concerts and performances around Southend. And in his own way, inimitable way, he would often turn up late to these events, and it would always be me playing the piano. And so we got to know each other. And then he asked me for some help with some of his events and some things at the House of Commons, and the relationship grew from there really. And he was one of the first, well, the first important, influential person who believed in me. If you could imagine, I had all these visions a long time ago. I wanted to have a Music Man projects around the country, and I wanted to perform at the London Palladium or Royal Albert Hall. But everybody else said, why? Or they said, there's no way you could achieve that. Or they said, you're just David from Southend. There was this glass ceiling. And nobody apart from him believed it was possible. And he used to always say to me, how can I help? What can I do? And he was the person who first wrote to the London Palladium to open that door, which then got me in. And then I got a concert there, which then led on to the Royal Albert Hall. So it was Sir David that believed in me. But the political side of it's really interesting because I've worked with all parties. And most recently, I've just finished my 4-year term as the government's Disability and Access Ambassador for Arts and Culture, which is another voluntary role for both Conservative and the Labour governments when they came in. And that was such an honour to represent the country, to represent people with disabilities in terms of helping them access arts and culture. So yes, having that political help and influence has been really helpful for our charity.
To have someone like Sir David believe in you in that way and sort of break that glass ceiling for you into the
Yes,
wider
he did.
UK is quite a rarity, but what an incredible opportunity for you to have.
And what's so remarkable is that since his tragic death in 2021, with his memory and his legacy behind us, we then did extraordinary things that he would have been so proud of. I mean, performing at 10 Downing Street for an event organised by the then Prime Minister's wife, and we were playing the music at 10 Downing Street. I was playing the piano so loud that somebody had to come up and tell me to play a little bit more quietly because the Prime Minister was on an international call. And then I sort of said, okay, and then carried on. And then he came upstairs and then he loved what he saw. He saw the musicians performing and the fun we were having. And he said, between you and the cricket, I'm not getting any work done at all today, David. And he joined in. He joined in with the music and fun. So David would have loved that. The fact that I've been to Buckingham Palace for some tea parties. We've performed for the King at the Royal Albert Hall, where he gave us a standing ovation. These things would have been right up Sir David Street, and it's the things that he always said we could achieve, but he's watching them from above rather than by my side, which is bittersweet.
Actually, to have him sort of as a bit of a guardian angel of the Music Man project
Yes.
in a funny kind of way is quite
Well,
a
I was on TV a lot after his murder, on all even CNN in America, and I described him as our greatest champion. And he was a champion for the vulnerable in Southend. He loved Southend, and he would do absolutely anything. And of course, when we finally got the city, I think I just burst into tears when I found out that he was going to be, we were going to be made a city, very much in his honour. And I supported him with that campaign. So yes, you're absolutely right. He's looking down over us, making sure we're still doing it right, and saying onwards and upwards, which is one of his phrases. Yeah.
And you mentioned a few things there, like Downing Street and
Mm.
London Palladium, a few other places that you've done. There are so many different things that you have achieved over the last 27 years.
Yeah.
It would be impossible for me to go through every single one of them. You must have some standout moments for yourself and for the project. So I'm going to put the ball in your court as to which ones you want to talk about because
Yeah.
there
Well,
are so many.
there's a few. One of the biggest breaking moments was when we were invited to perform in the National Lottery TV advert,
Mm.
which was when we just started separating off as our own charity and trying to expand and be on our own 2 feet. And that was amazing because it was a national TV advert for the National Lottery, and the director of that advert was the same director who directed The Greatest Showman, which was Michael Gracie, which was really cool because The Greatest Showman was everywhere. It's like wow, and then the same person who directed that film was directing me and my students in this advert, and that was quite an early on thing, and it really gave us a boost because it suddenly meant, gosh, we can be quite big, and people were starting to recognise my students in the street. We won the King's Award for Voluntary Service in 2024, and that was a lovely achievement. It felt really, really special. Um, but I think probably reaching the Albert Hall in 2019, after promising everybody 20 years earlier that we would do it, and it taking 20 years to break down the barriers. We had people telling me it wasn't possible because there were too many wheelchairs. We had people telling me it's just you in Southend and you won't be able to get funding or you won't be able to get an audience and all that. And yet in 2019, we did it with 300 musicians with disabilities from across the country, led by Southend students. And that was a huge moment. And then probably finally, we recently performed in Rome and Milan, doing joint concerts, and those were concerts with charities that were just like the Music Man Project, but over in Italy. So to feel, to understand that I wasn't alone, and as a sort of a charity founder, it can be quite lonely sometimes. I do everything from essentially this room I'm talking to you now. I compose the music, I try and get the funding. I organise shows and concerts and tours and collaborations, and so it can be quite lonely when things aren't going your way. And then when I went to Italy, I found out there were people just like that in their own versions in Italian charities for disabled people. So we did joint concerts together. So that would be a highlight. And finally, when we performed with the RAF at the Nova Scotia International Tattoo in Canada, that was extraordinary because we did about, I think, 5 performances and a total of 20,000 people. And we got standing ovations in every single one. So going all that way and showing everybody that we could travel, we could go around the world, and the universal language of music works wherever you go. Was a moment, but honestly, there's been so many, and I like to think that the next moment is going to be my biggest.
It's such an inspiration to hear about everything that you and all of your students do because obviously music is this universal language, but I feel like not only are you communicating with people, but you're constantly breaking stereotypes. Every
Yes.
single performance that you do, every single new achievement that you have, it's just this whole next level of appreciation and combating of all the stigma, all the
Mm, mm,
stereotypes, and you're just breaking it down bit by bit. And it is
yeah.
just it's so inspiring and so commendable for yourself and all of your students for everything
Can
that
I
you
just talk about the students? Because
do.
I must not forget then, the students are just incredible. Because without them, I wouldn't have had this career. It's as
Mm.
simple as that. I trained at some amazing places to study music, but lots of people did. And there's no way I would be performing my own music at the Royal Albert Hall with famous people. It's because of my students. They are the most resilient, kind, caring, hardworking people you can ever imagine. And most of all, the ambassadors, I call them, the ones that travel around the country and around the world with me. They're called the Music Man Project ambassadors. I've got to know them and their families. But really, the whole Music Man Project community across the country, they overcome challenges that you wouldn't believe just to exist and be respected and have a good day. And their families, their parents in particular, struggled all their life to be able to have opportunities for their children. So the fact that I can do something to show everybody just what's possible, and really that anything is possible, as the song goes in our show, it's just been the honor of my life. And I cannot see myself doing anything else for the rest of my life. And I just want to ensure that it can carry on after my life, to make sure that people can keep playing music that I've written, and that this golden moment really in our history will stand as an example to the future generations about what you can do if you believe in people.
It's very rarely that I am speechless, to be honest with you. It's very, very rare that I'm speechless. I talk a lot, but that is one of the most powerful comments that I have heard on an interview in a
Thank
very,
you.
very long time.
Well, you're a very good interviewer because you clearly get it out of me. So
Thank
that's
you. It's very moving actually listening to how passionate you are
yeah,
about students. And I think that's the thing is that, yes, you are the driving force behind this. Yes, you are the life and soul of the Music Man project, but it wouldn't be without the team that you spoke about. But these students in particular, these are the ones that they are the forefront. They make it happen. They
yeah,
are the ones that are breaking the boundaries and, creating these incredible experiences and moments that not only are they going to look back on, but future generations are going to look back on and be inspired by. So it is incredibly moving to actually listen to it come from your perspective because I've
yeah.
seen from a general public perspective. I mean, I remember watching you on Britain's Got Talent. I've seen the National Lottery advert. All of this that has tied in with my life in various different ways,
Mm.
especially around Southend. Obviously, you see the Music Man performing at various different
They're
events.
all over the
You
place.
pop
Yeah,
up everywhere. So
yeah.
to actually hear it from your perspective is do you know what? It's an absolute honor to talk to you.
Thank you. But
You
it's meaningful. It's meaningful, and I think that's the key to life, really, for me and for them to have something that has meaning. We have a song that's called "Have You Ever Stopped to Think," and I wrote it when I was inspired by seeing my students work with some children in primary schools, and they often go to schools and do workshops. And by the end of the workshops, about an hour of singing their songs and playing their music, the primary school children come up to my students and want their autographs because they think they're rock stars. And I was so like, wow. So I wrote this song called "Have You Ever Stopped to Think Why You Were Put on the Earth? What role you play right here today? Do you question your worth?" And for me, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be. And I think that's with the students as well. That's they've got this purpose, and when you have a purpose, you have this sense of well-being. And any darkness in your life, you can turn to light, and that's what the song is about. So you're absolutely right. It's meaningful. It helps people's mental health, and it reverses perception amongst society about what they can do.
I'll be honest, it's going to be very difficult to follow that now.
Or we could talk about Broadway if you like.
Well, I was actually going to come on to your upcoming show in America because obviously
Yes.
you were saying every moment is going to be the next big moment, but I think this is the moment, isn't it? The one in America. So
Yeah.
tell me all, what is going on in America
Oh
this
gosh.
year?
Well, so I have this thing about high expectations. I get really cross when I get cross when people say they can't do something themselves because it's like there's enough boundaries out there and barriers stopping you to do something that you need to at least believe in yourself. And so then when that then applies to my students and people say, you can't do that, it's like a red rag to a bull. So with the Broadway thing, Sir David Amos in 2019 at our Royal Albert Hall show, debut show, he said these words. You've conquered the London Palladium. You've taken the Royal Albert Hall by storm. Next stop, Broadway. Now, he said this, and we had sort of joked about it, but he stood up in front of thousands of people and said it's going to happen. 2 years later, he gets murdered. And then I'm thinking, what do we do as a charity? Where do we go from here? We had some, Penny Mordaunt, Team Lewis, some amazing people came and supported us. But I felt as if we needed to do something for Sir David as a thank you for the way he helped us. We needed to do something also so that people would remember Sir David for his legacy, for his championing of the vulnerable, for his love of Southend, for how kind he was, not the fact that he was so brutally murdered. I want my students to be the legacy. So it just, as time went on, it was just became this. It was just the most obvious thing in the world. We had to fulfill the promise that he'd made at the 2019 show to do Broadway. So the fact that we've performed at the London Palladium and the Royal Albert Hall and had some of these amazing collaborations with people, it did open the door a little easier to be able to approach a New York theatre. But that was just the beginning of it because you got to get to America. I'm currently trying to work out how to get to America in terms of entry. But you've got to
Logistical
fundraise,
nightmare,
the
hey?
logistical, they've got to fundraise. We're taking 16 of our Music Man Project global ambassadors, but of course, then they need 16 carers and parents to support them. An on-stage band of 8 people, a 10-piece, 10 members of the backing vocalists, some technicians, so 60, nearly 60 people, got to fundraise to get to America so that we can perform in October this year, which will be 5 years since Sir David was killed. So, I don't want to do it on the 6th or 7th. I want to make it on the 5th year. So I just went ahead and booked the venue
So
and
it's happening.
paid the deposit and then thought, right, better get some flights. So we managed to get quite a good deal on some flights, managed to get some hotels. So it's just snowballed. And then we got some fundraising and a GoFundMe page, and Anna Firth, who was abseiling down the Southend Hospital
So
with me
obviously
the other
we met
day.
under very strange circumstances
Yeah,
because we were sailing down the
we were
hospital
both
together.
tied up. Yes. So yeah, we were doing this and raising this money, and so Anna Firth's been incredible. Everybody's been incredible raising money, and our target is £150,000. I think we're around about 125,000 already, so we've got 25,000 to go to be able to pay off all the various costs of it. But it's happening. We are going. I've written the show. It's called Music is Magic on Broadway, the story of the Music Man Project. And it takes us from my first student, Tony, all those years ago, up to performing at the Royal Albert Hall with Sir David making his announcement. Then the second half is a very moving opening tribute to Sir David because we then cover the fact that he was killed, and then the journey to Broadway. It's variety, it's funny, it's incredibly moving. You're going to need to bring a handkerchief for the tears that are going to be flowing, both happy and sad tears. We remember the students we've lost over the decades because obviously people with learning disabilities and physical disabilities are at bigger risk of health conditions. So we've lost many students who never made it to the Albert Hall or Broadway. And of course, Sir David Amos and all the parents and people that have helped us along the way. We pay tribute to what I call the heroes. Sir David Amos at the top, but all the heroes that have helped us get to Broadway. And it's going to be an absolute blast. I've got no idea how I'm going to get through it because when the first note starts, I'm going to be a blubbering wreck because it feels like the climax of everything. It's like the 26, 7 years, and then 5 years since Sir David Amos. It's the biggest thing we've done. It's the hardest thing to pull off. It's not a great international climate to be traveling to America. There's all sorts of reasons, but it's so important that we do it. So yeah, it's a big one.
And you're doing it.
I got no idea how, and sometimes I have these moments when I'm like going because we're not a professional group. We're a charity. We haven't got millions of pounds in the bank. We're not even like a massive, charity with a huge turnover and a London base. We're basically me in Southend overseeing lots of other people do the same thing around the country in their own way. And yet we're trying to do something which just defies expectations. Is just stupid when you think about it. But that's what we've been doing all of my life, really. We've just been breaking down barriers. And when people say we can't do something, we go, okay, I'll see you next year on Broadway. It's
But I think, to be honest, that rounds everything up so perfectly because that is just the absolute pinnacle of the Music Man project. It
yes,
is everything that you're doing in October in America is everything that you stand for. It is a
yes,
legacy, it is a celebration, it is breaking boundaries, it
yeah,
is breaking barriers and stigmas and stereotypes and proving people's worth and bringing
yeah,
joy to people's lives. And
yeah.
I think America is just going to be the ultimate icing on the cake. So
It is.
where to after that? Who knows?
Well, I'll tell you right now because we announced it at the end of our show in America that next stop after Broadway, Las Vegas.
Right, I might have to try and get some time off work. That's it. Please do let me know when you're next doing London because I would very much
Yeah,
like.
I can do that now. It is because people I'm sure listening would love to come and watch. It's on the 31st of May next year, 2027. Music is Magic at the Royal Albert Hall, back with the Royal Marines Band.
Amazing. And how do people get tickets for that? Are they on sale yet?
They're not out yet, but they'll be out just before Christmas, I think, and they'll be right across our social media, and it'll be in the paper as well, I'm sure.
Perfect. And just in terms of your social media and how people can contact you, how is best for people to reach out and support?
Yeah, so we have the main website, which is themusicmanproject.com, themusicmanproject.com, or you can we've got our Facebook is probably our most active because of the nature of our followers, and that's the Music Man Project UK on Facebook, or you can Instagram is at Music Man Project. But yes, my contact details are everywhere, so people can just ring me up and get in contact. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, I am absolutely thrilled for everything that you have done and feel really honoured that you've taken the time to talk to me. So thank you. And I
Right,
honestly can't wait to see what you do next because it has just been such an incredible journey so far. And yeah,
I'm
sky's the limit.
delighted we bumped into each other at the bottom of Southend Hospital after we
Yeah,
abseiled.
absolutely. Well, I mean, it was before we
Oh, it
abseiled.
was before,
I
yes.
mean, this is what I was a wreck. So
It was very good fun. So that's great. And
it
thank you
was.
so much for your kindness and your words and your support. We really appreciate it.